Good evening, everyone. And today I'll be talking about a short case study on how we at QED42 transformed legal aid for folks in Illinois. So, yeah, we collaborated with ILEO, or Illinois Legal Aid Online, to work out a cool solution. Yeah, we'll get into it. So, who and what is ILEO? ILEO is a non-profit organization in Illinois. They provide free legal resources like forms, guides, a ton of other resources to help help residents in ILEO navigate legal tech, legal aid and such things. Like you want to get divorced, or if someone locked out of your house, and things like that, you just go to Illinois Legal Aid Online, find your guide, or find the resource that you need. And I'm the AI engineer at QED42. So we are a bunch of nerds. We develop cool technologies. We collaborate with such organizations. All right, I'll get next. So here's a little graph. We'll get into the problem of what we're trying to solve with ILEO. So here's a graph that shows the number of civil cases versus criminal cases that are aided or funded. And as you can see, the black lines are the criminal cases, and it's like way long. And the blue ones that are like super short. We could only include the countries that could be even mentioned in here. This graph is taken from one of the reports, one of the reports. I don't remember the exact source, but we can come to it later. Yeah. So as you can see, only a very tiny fraction of the graph are funded, the civil cases. Civil cases include things like the tenant rights and everything that I just talked about, the civil cases that matter to people. So as you can see, only one, in case of Mauritius, only 1 out of 1,000 cases were ever funded. And it's kind of a pattern if you see everywhere. And you can imagine thousands other places that don't have any kind of support in this case. So how can we make it better? Before I get into it. Yep. So imagine the millions fighting, seeking, still trapped, trying to find the answers, lost in the legal jargons, lost on how to find that resource or how to pinpoint that guide that they need. And yeah, so we thought deep. We came up with this cool little AI-powered solution to fix it. So what were we looking for? An accessible, friendly, 24/7 available assistant that could answer to your needs, your queries, that could understand the intent behind your problem. And that's where we created a little AI assisted system. So this system, you can talk with it like you're talking with a friend. Make your problem easy to understand, like you would talk with a friend. You don't need to know about the legal jargons. You don't need to know about complicated grammar and stuff. It would be taken care by the system. And yeah, just put in your query. It finds you not only relevant resources, but also tries to answer to your query itself. So there are, before I get into solution, there are two parts to the solution. One is the search, and second is a chatbot kind of thing, a contextual chat. We'll get it. So the search that goes beyond keywords, search that is not defined by your grammar or the grammar provided in the database or the source data. Search that goes beyond the words, and it's accessible, making it easy for folks that are completely new to the legal area to play around it or find the information. Third, how confusing your query might be, you will most probably find something that's really relevant to it, or like super closely relevant to it. And third, last, adapts to the legal jargon. Like I just said, the system kind of understands the legal jargon or breaks it down easily. So the user query need not be any complicated or anything. It can understand. Even the experts can put in the query, but it works for everyone. And the second is the contextual experience. Kind of like a chatbot, but more than it. It takes your query in, takes in the relevant data, synthesizes an output for you. That's a quick example, but I do have a demo. We'll come to it. Yep. Also, it's multilingual. If your user is from, it supports languages like Spanish, Polish, and other languages. Spanish, Polish, English are the most spoken in ILO, so we were focused on that one. Yep. So before I get into the demo, a quick note. So building trust. So something we saw in most of the AI systems is there was a trust factor missing. So being a Gen AI tech, it generates a lot of random stuff if not controlled properly, or if not, or if you haven't put like proper guardrails in place. And it was it was kind of difficult to build this trust factor. We had to build a little guardrail. It adds like a super minor cost. It takes in your any kind of query. It does a like preliminary filtering over it, and only then it passes to the next system. We do have a tech diagram, like a small diagram. I'll also come to it later. But yeah, that was it. A quick demo time. Oh, shoot. Come on. Yep. So here's my little query. What are my rights as a renter? And it just shows you some common articles around, if you are a renter and so on. I have some better queries. Yep. Yeah, just a little demo of how guardrails. So asking something partially, like if you're trying to trick the system or something, as a tenant, how to cook a sandwich. It's completely irrelevant to Illinois, and it just rejects the query. Another simpler one. Yep. So need to remove someone. That's like a super basic query. I mean, I normally, it takes it right to evicting a tenant, and so on, understanding eviction as a tenant, and so on. So this is semantic search in the backend. Now, here we have a little contextual chat. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So, let me understand everything. Tenant. Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm extremely sorry about what happened, but yeah, we're back. All right, that was pretty much it with the demo, and a quick look into the tech stack. Oh, it's quite up. Yeah. So this is like an oversimplified version of what goes behind the backend, or what happens in the backend. So you have your site data. In our case, that would be the ILEO's existing website, the topmost one. And then we have a little indexer. It does a few things like contextual chunking and few other little techniques to create the best index out of the provided data. If you provide it with a blog, it would break it down to like many different chunks into many different meaningful chunks that would be capturing different parts, or let's say more concise parts of the blog. And then we have a text embedding. We do have like in-house text embedding engines, but in this case, yeah, we use the in-house one. Yep. So the text embedding engine is what is the magical engine. It's the AI model that extracts the meaning out of this already chunked parts of the blog. And then we have a vector database. It's almost similar to a normal database, but instead of storing straight text and stuff, it stores the embeddings generated out of the embedding engine. So embedding is um, a long vector numericals, more like a machine understandable thing. But we don't need to know about what embeddings exactly are right now to get a semantic search working. So yeah, store it to a vector database, and that's pretty much it with the indexing flow. Next is the search UI. So the UI that you previously saw on ILEO website. It's more of a UAT website, but yeah. Anyways, so the semantic search goes through the search API, our search API. It does the filtering. It does few things on the query, and then it sends back to the same thing, embedding the text, sending it to the database, finding the most relevant resources, and sending it back to the user. And the last one was chat with the results. It's a simple chat RAG application. You may have heard about it. So RAG is, once you've got the relevant resources from the search, it puts it into quite a big complicated prompt. It's a big one. And then it sends to one of our text generation APIs. So it could be a GPT model in the backend, or it could be a Llama model. It depends on client and the requirements and everything. And it sends back the response. That's pretty much it. It's an overview. If anyone wants to talk like more deep into each of these or any of the parts, we can connect post session. Yep. So our design folks, they created UI in a way that doesn't shout AI. It had to blend into the existing search interface without saying, hey, this is AI. And there are like folks still overwhelmed about using AI. They are not everyone is comfortable when someone says, hey, this is AI and try use this. So it has to be approachable. We made it in that way. Yep. It supports multiple languages, as previously said, and also does few techniques to give you this perceived reduced waiting time, that is just streaming the responses. So when the first word from the system comes, it's streamed as it is here. So there's like almost no waiting time when you have asked a query. And yeah, that was pretty much it with ILEO and QED42. Anyone has anything to ask around it? Yep. Yes.
So let me ask, what kind of the vector database did you use?
Oh, yeah, we're using Milvis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And also, what kind of the LLM model that you said, the OpenAI ChatGPT or Llama? So
we're using Llama for guardrailing the query, and then GPT for generation. Since the data is like already public, we didn't have to worry about the data privacy of the thing. Like we are only indexing the publicly available data on the iLeo's website. Yes. Yes.
I'm curious about your guardrail methods. Like, do you identify them individually? Like, what's the process like for the guardrails?
So in this demo, we added the guardrail towards the end, so during the testing phases and everything. And our guardrailing method is quite simple in this one. So we didn't go for the guardrailing libraries yet, but we're just using like a complicated prompt that simply says should the query go forward or not, and we're using the Grok API behind so that we have like the least latency, and when the user is inputting something, they shouldn't be waiting for, let's say, more than 100 to 100 milliseconds or something. Um, yeah. So yeah, the guardrailing does happen on another model, a smaller one, a Llama 8B or so.
I have a follow-up question.
Yep.
Because we tried doing that and it's kind of slow. So I didn't check your demo how fast it is, but I'm guessing it is fast. How do you do it?
For testing, one more point. So we had to do a lot of testing since it's one of our early Gen AI applications. We are new to testing it all, and we wrote a little script. We gave it few categories on what kind of questions to generate. We gave it an idea of what iLeo's content is, like just the overview of it, like divorce, house, renting, whatever, and so on and so forth. And then we send it to GPT to get some just queries prepared. It's like a little workflow. Then it goes through the system, sends us all the rankings and scores of the embeddings and system things, and and then we also pass it through the chat system, the guardrails, to check how relevant the data was previously, and was it like removed enough, or was it blocked, and so on and so forth. So we had like, I don't know, 300 plus queries just going through the system. It's like a generation pipeline. You have to press a button.
I have one question from a user experience point of view. Let's say, like a traditional user is generally, like they have this habit of, typing in keywords and then they get the results, and then based on that results they try to filter out certain aspects of that result by, say by clicking a face it. So we get that. So we, with the help of AI, I can see that the most relevant results are already coming. But what if, let's say the data set is huge, and then the topic that user has entered is a generalized word that they have used. So results could be in any direction. So is there a possibility to, let's say, give out facets as a part of AI, and how do we do that?
Yes. So during the indexing process itself, we already support a system where you can pass in different kinds of different kinds of metadata that has to be stored along with your embeddings, or let's say the data that would be retrieved. So all those metadata could contain things like category, and these are my so on categories for this chunk, or let's say this blog or document. And when filtering out in the front end, or like after you receive the results, you can just take those categories, the dictionary of categories, and do the filtering on it. And so the whole emergence of semantic thing is after the boom of whole ChatGPT and so on, people have slowly started to shift from just going keyword searches to doing huge long queries, and that's where normal keyword search would often fail. Like you don't have the specific word in your database, or you didn't consider this could be a synonym to some other two-word or three-word phrase. So that would be taken care by the embedding model in the backend. Yes.
Is the response only based upon the previous website or the previous data that you have, or is it based upon publicly available data which is larger than the previous website?
No, we have like it was a specific requirement to be inside the system itself. So it could be opened, like we could have multiple data sources if that was a requirement. But yeah, in this demo, it was just for ILEO. It's restricted to ILEO's resources.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I have one question. How do you deal with hallucination risk for AI?
Hallucination. So our query, like it's mostly playing with the prompts and stuff, like experimenting with the prompts, the initial prompts. We have quite an expressive prompt system going on. We keep on tuning it with testing and other few parameters, whatever would be exposed from the model providers, things like temperature and so on. But yeah, it's mostly in the prompt.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
You had mentioned prompting, that you did a lot of prompting work.
Yeah.
Could you show us the flowchart and where the prompts come into play?
Yeah. The same flowchart.
Yeah, or whatever's easiest.
Yeah.
for you, actually.
Sure. Oh, sorry. So there are two places where the prompts are being used. One is the guardrails. So after you got the relevant resources, it comes back to our chat API, which takes care of generation. It goes to the guardrail system. So guardrails has its own prompt. So the prompt could be, yeah, I don't remember the exact prompt as it is, but it's more like restrict a query if it has like following conditions. And we also use few shot techniques so that it doesn't derail from just prompting. And the next prompt comes in the chat. In the chat. So again, in the chat, we have like quite an expressive prompt. So your data goes in as a knowledge resource, or let's say some kind of knowledge base. And then you have the user query as well. And then we ask the bot, given a following set of conditions, that to answer the response once it's passed from the guardrail.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
How, can I
Yeah.
yeah. How did you implement the backend system? Like, it's not the Drupal, like Python?
It's mostly in Python.
Oh, okay, API layer.
Yeah, sorry?
API layer? is
Yep.
implemented by-
So the API goes through the Drupal backend.
Okay. Drupal as a front end.
Yeah.
Drupal as a front end.
Yep.
for chat interface.
So the Drupal implementers have also written like a few scripts and some stuff to automatically keep on sending the data for indexing whenever the content is changed on site as well. So there's like another workflow happening in the backend for indexing and for fetching and everything.
Understood.
Anyone? Anything? Or we can move to the last slide. All right. So we are also working on a few little experiments, in-house experiments, I would say. So one of them is AI DXP platform. So we are trying to build a platform where we can just easily board in customers, non-technical customers specifically. They can just go in there, do something like create an index, select a couple of drop downs that literally says what the model they want to choose. But I know there are like a million models out there, and giving the million models is not the whole point of the system. Everyone's doing that. So what we're trying to do is, having experience of 13 years in building these websites, we kind of have an idea of what a model could be better at, fetching this kind of data, XYZ kind of data, or what it suits for, healthcare customers or law customers and so on and so forth. So we utilize that kind of expertise, bring in like 5 models, fine-tuned, or maybe it depends on each client. So whenever we board in new clients, the experience would build on itself. Yeah, so on this platform, we would be boarding new clients. They would, with just 5 or 6 clicks, they would have a semantic search, the one that I showed you in Ilio. And with another 2 or 3 clicks, they would have a whole chat system, which would have guardrails and yeah, almost pretty much everything that's required to make a system. And the next one is a little design component generation, again based on Gen AI stuff. So we have our in-house design system. It's called Space, and some of our clients do have their own as well. And we often have this request of creating new components for them, or let's say new experiences for them, and that's where the design system generation thing comes in. It ingests customers' existing design system, all of it, and given a little simple prompt like generate a component of, let's say, title, header, and something like that, it would just generate you the complete SDC component, or the whole thing, which can be just attended onto your Drupal site or anywhere. And yeah, last one, you guys must have used it. It's a little tool one of our technical architects made. It's called, it's a code gen tool. It converts like normal components into SDC compatible components. Must have used it some. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And thank you. Anyone, any more questions?